Hi, Richard.
Hi, Paco.
Hey, Richard.
Good to see you again.
Well-known face in this podcast series, and the person who named the podcast, right?
That's right. Celebrity guest.
Absolutely.
In charge of making up the names for the things, yeah.
I think only for that, Richard, you should get some kind of recognition. I don't know what
Yeah,
we will think
waiting.
about it.
I'm waiting.
Yeah. We are thinking about that. So we have done many podcasts and many podcasts, of course,
Feels
on
like
retail
it, yeah.
technology. We have been talking about insights and about trends, about opportunities, but today we would like to have an open discussion about how do we see that market and what do we think is the value add that BlueStar can have for most of the resellers when they approach the retail, the POS, the payments. And for that, we have two of the instrumental persons who are really describing the strategy of our POS business all over Europe. So with Jord Malcorps, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Good. Very good.
All the way from the Netherlands.
All the way.
And from the UK, Emma Edwards.
Hi, Paco.
Hello. So I would like also to to start this conversation talking about something that is the concept which we think we are well known from. Okay, we are the one-stop shop for retail, for POS, for payments. So I would like also to, maybe Emma to start by telling me what does it mean for the resellers to find in BlueStar the one-stop shop for this kind of industry.
So one-stop shop basically means that they can buy all their hardware products, all the components of their solution from one source, essentially BlueStar. We have the ability to do this because we have relationships with all the main vendors in the retail and hospitality space. And I think this value add is really, it brings a lot of logistic and financial gains to the partners. They can buy all their hardware from one source, so it means that they just have one order to place. Hopefully that means then they only have, one delivery and one invoice, so it reduces the admin costs for the partner and also the shipping costs because they're buying everything from one source. Just to add to that, one other thing we can do is a drop ship facility. So we can, because everything's centralised in our Eindhoven warehouse, we can consolidate all the products and we can actually pre-configure the kit and then drop ship to, a merchant or end user site across Europe, which again reduces the shipping costs and also in a lot of cases negates the need for an engineer from the reseller to be on site to configure that kit when it arrives.
That's very good. So it's a little bit to be like going an extra mile, right? In the
For sure.
In the approach, that the resellers can have on this business.
Yep. Yeah, I think one thing is to say that you're a one-stop shop. The other thing is, of course, to do it. And I think, within BlueStar, we really changed the way of how we, see the phrase one-stop shop. I think in the past, when we were a little bit more involved in Auto ID, for example, and then we moved into POS, definitely mobile point of sale. Mobile point of sale is, a lot of different set of hardware that we bundle together and ship directly to the end user. In a lot of cases, there are customers that, don't buy the brand that we actually have, right? So it's, for example, it's a kit with 6 different parts. We have 5 of those parts on stock, but one of them we don't represent, right? Which is complicated because it's not a full one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So we even taken an extra length where we, in some cases, take a 3PL item on stock just for the specific customer to make sure that his end user gets a plug-and-play device ready to go, put on the counter, and he's able to check out.
Like a payment device, for example.
Exactly. I think that's really, we go that extra length for that one-stop shop. And especially for, I think, 6, 7 customers in our portfolio. It goes very deep. I think we're very flexible as well.
Yeah.
If you ever need, come talk to us and we'll make sure that it's a tailored one.
When you're talking about 4, 5, 6 customers, might be looking very, very huge, but those are the key on top. And then, of course, we are talking about very, very large.
Correct. And of course,
huge customers.
We're a distributor.
Yeah.
So we are not a 3PL company.
Correct.
Right? So we want to limit as much as possible the 3PL that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, to get that extra mile in, we do it for our customers or core customers. We are able to, do specific things. So
I think as well, it's providing not only a great service to our customers, but it also helps them to look good in front of their customers as well. If you're an end user and everything arrives in one box instead of, it's one box, it's one day that it all arrives instead of 3 or 4 different boxes. One of the boxes gets lost and then you don't have a tablet or a payment reader or something like that. I think that aspect of it is also really useful.
And I think just to go back to what I mentioned before about the engineers, that also helps with that because if they know everything's arriving on one day and everything's going to be in the same box, then they know when to be scheduling engineers to be on site rather than it all being very fragmented.
If they even need engineers, sometimes one of the things that we can do as part of that delivery service is put the top of the box, the first thing you see when you open it is a piece of paper or a delivery instructions or a QR code from the reseller saying, welcome to your new POS setup. Scan here to get started, or it's so a lot of the time, obviously, certainly for more complicated installations, you're still going to want to send an engineer there, but a lot of the time it can be done by a semi-qualified end user themselves out of the box.
Well, absolutely. What I like from that, I hear so many times, the expression, we can take your headache away from you. And I think that's also the key, let's say, take away from that. It's like,
does that mean we put paracetamols in the box when we ship it?
Well, we can be compared to that. We can also be the opposites, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the expressions which really explains better, what we can do for the customers, not only POS retail, but also in many other verticals. But I think that's critical. And what I like from that is everything you're explaining, it also shows that we are a customer-centric. I think you use another expression, which is customer-specific, right?
Specific, yeah.
What do you mean by
it's
that?
It's tailor-made, basically, right, what we do, but it's, the only way you get there is flexibility, right? And I think we are a company that are flexible in, complicated projects. And with complicated projects, I mean, mostly 3PL has been added, where we build a one-stop shop. But it's just the customer service level to the end user is so important for the ISV or for the reseller that we work with. End users are used these days to kind of go from, an IT company and they order a tablet, for example, it gets at home branded, nice in a very, cool box. It's colored. For us, it's a carton box that we ship, right? It's not that excited. So for a lot of customers as well, we have branded boxes that we, develop and specifically develop with the customer's name on the outside of the box. There's a little message on, the inside of the box. And that's, I think, where we take that extra step to give this flexibility to the customer.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm a bit concerned because you mentioned that we were working on a deeper way with 4, 5, 6 customers, but in fact, we are doing this for thousands of customers.
Yeah.
The other question is you were mentioning those which are really taking, let's say, the deepest advantage of those services, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix and match, isn't it, really? Not every customer takes all of the service. Some might say, well, look, we just want you to put a bit of paper in the box that says where it's come from, or...
I think
I was concerned. Excuse me, if I interrupt you. I was concerned that let's say the customer network may think that this is something elitist or something only for a reduced group of customers, while in fact this is valid for any single customer, no matter the size, no matter the location.
But I think just kind of part of the value add of that one-stop shop as well. As Jord mentioned, yes, sometimes we have to take on 3PL to make sure we can provide a full solution for some of those bigger partners, but it's part of the constant, assessment and review of our vendor line card as well to say, right, okay, what's new? Where's the technology going? What applications are we seeing more and more of? And then as a group, we're evaluating, okay, well, which vendors do we potentially need to have on board, in the future, or what products do we need to have on board? What's the, what complements, these products we've already got? And that's part of the value, I think.
Apparently.
Exactly.
But so we can make sure we've got the relevant solutions as part of that one-stop shop. So we're constantly evolving in that way.
Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. I don't think we should really look the focus. I mean, basically, when we are developing these kind of services and we are talking about what we can do for your customers, we always come to the point that we really want to help them grow in their business.
Yes,
right. And I think this is really, let's say, the big target for us. We can help the customers, we can help the resellers, we can help the ISVs also to develop their business.
But also, I think, just to add on that, the service that we currently have, providing a one-stop shop, there are several services that we provide. We didn't invent those services. Our customers did. Right? So our customers come to us, say, hey, why don't you do this? Because that would help me a lot. And we go deeper into detail. Okay, can we do this? We draw up a plan and we come back with a new service. And that's, of course, used to other customers as well.
And honestly, without being pretentious, I think some of those services, not all of them, of course, but as you said, some of those services are really almost exclusive to BlueStar. We are doing some things that only BlueStar, I don't say our competition is not able to do, but at least only BlueStar is doing it effectively today. Okay, so when we go a little bit deeper into those kind of services, we've been talking also about these logistics, 3PL, etc. We will maybe touch on this later on, but there is a key element that I think is really differentiated. We have local expertise, local knowledge. We have a BDM network, in most of the countries. I don't know who wants to to talk about that.
Yeah, well, we've got BDM coverage through most of the, let's say, the biggest territories in Europe. We've got BDMs on the ground in the UK and Ireland, in the DACH region, in the Nordics as well.
Is it worth clarifying, I was thinking maybe, Rich, as well, what we class within BlueStar as
it's a BDM?
Yeah. So, well, from my point of view, we're talking about retail and hospitality today. So I would say it's somebody with industry expertise, knowledge, very specialist knowledge about the different technologies that we use in those areas. So point of sale and payments particularly, and also the partner network that we have there, great knowledge of the local market in terms of what BlueStar customers, and also to a good extent what the end users in those territories are looking for. So a business development manager for me in the areas that we have them for retail and hospitality is someone that's really can work in an advisory capacity to our resellers to say, well, here's technology that's coming through, here's how we can help you to implement that, here are some products that we would recommend that would help you to do that, here's how we can work with you to hit the price points that you need to work. Really, someone that works closely as almost as part of the customer's organization, also very well linked to the vendors and the ISV partners that we work with to offer a really good understanding of what our customers need and how we can help them to achieve that.
So it's essentially, I guess, a bit of an extension of their own sales force, isn't it? To
in
help
a lot
them
of cases,
deliver.
it can be, yeah. It's a difficult question to try and think about when you've been doing this thing for such a long time. Would you actually say what are the benefits of it? Well, I don't know.
Yes.
You've been there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, you don't know what the benefits are. But I think it's very clear.
Yeah, I think it's kind of them, as you say, they can help with identifying the right hardware for the resellers, software application, for example, I guess. And I mean, even in times we've had them do joint end user visits, I guess more to that point of it being extended up,
I also think they can be also a
Salesforce.
driver in the business, right? When you have questions, not only about the day-to-day business, which is obviously, you're addressing to the salespeople, to the logistic people, to the administration to get this and that, But however you want to develop your business, this is the kind of conversation you need to have with someone who understands, what else is there and where the market is going.
Yeah.
Someone who is telling you, hey, the market is going in this direction. Why are you asking me for that? Maybe you should consider this or that. And I think BlueStar has got these key elements really to help you with that as a customer.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street as well. I mean, not only are we constantly advising partners what we think they might want to look at, we're also listening to what they're saying as well, and what technology are they seeing, what trends are they seeing, what would they like to see from BlueStar, what vendors are popular, as Emma mentioned before, what do we need to add to enhance the service. So someone, if I was going to use a football analogy for this, business development's a bit of a midfielder kind of role, someone with that's hopefully got a little bit more time on the ball to look ahead, but also not just look at what we're doing already, but also looking ahead to see what how do we get from defense into attack, how do we get from where we were to where the market, where our customers need us to be. So and also there's an element in there of selling as much of our product as we can as well. It's fundamentally a sales role, and but definitely driven from the point of view of how do we help the customers to achieve what they want to achieve.
I think from where I've seen the value as well and feedback from partners, one of the key values to the partner of the business development team is kind of introducing them to potentially new vendors. So they'll come to us. They might, not have a hardware platform in mind, or they may be very kind of limited in the knowledge of what's available. And we can obviously make them aware of what other hardware is available. But kind of, I guess, taking that step further is introducing them to those vendors. And not only, I would say, from a kind of product selection, but also familiarising them with the internal processes of those vendors.
Yeah.
So, right, okay, well, how do projects work? Who do I need to know within that vendor? So they don't just understand the actual hardware, but all the process involved with working with that vendor.
You're absolutely right, because I think more than other verticals. Of course, it's always important everywhere, but I think in the retail and especially in the POS specific business, project management is absolutely key element, especially nowadays. So I think the BDM plays an absolute key role in that kind of development.
Yeah, it's a complicated area, and I think having somebody that understands that process from the reseller's point of view, and from the point of view of what stock do we need in place, how do we deliver it, how do we achieve the right price points for that. I always say to our customers, don't come to the BDM with a part number and request for a price or stock. Come to us with a problem and say what would be the best way to fix this problem.
That's a good point.
Because then we can bring in lots of different potential solutions, offer several solutions, and let the reseller pick what's the best one. Yeah,
and also maybe to kind of go a little bit deeper in that. For example, I do BDM work for EMEA. I'm commercial educated, right? I'm not per se technical educated.
Yeah.
So for me, I find if I have a new customer that I have, a case with, and I get a lot of questions, basically, what can I use for this operating system, for this, blah, blah, blah. We also use our pre-sales team. And our pre-sales team, I think, is very, very knowledgeable in the sense of commercial pre-sales, right? They mix very good together. And we jump on the same call together with the new customer, and we basically go through the whole portfolio that BlueStar has to offer. The technical pre-sales side of the call is basically going into detail, this is, I think, the best product for this application, and so on and so on. And I think that's the combination between, the expertise within BlueStar. We combine those two. We go together in a call or a physical visit. That's also possible. And we basically guide the customer through the process and to the different manufacturers, to the commercial process, but also pre-sales process.
Absolutely. We're going to be touching that pre-sale, let's say, job detail, in a few minutes, But before we go there, I think there is also something which is instrumental in the development of BlueStar. We are talking about value-add services, and in fact, we have a specific department called the Value-Add Service Department. Is what we call internally the VAS, right? And I think this is something very, very unique. And I think in terms of POS products or solutions, it's absolutely critical.
Yes.
Right? So let's go a little bit into deep into that services. What they can do for the customers.
Yeah, I think the VAS team is one of the most important assets within BlueStar, right? So just a bit of a background story. I started in 2014 within BlueStar. We were still 3PLing our services out.
Yesterday.
Yeah, right. I think, I met you like the second or third day.
Yes, correct.
But basically, going back 2014, we outsourced our warehouse to a 3PL, to FedEx. We also had our own office in the FedEx facility. Basically, what happened when I started in 2014 together with my colleague, we used to, of course, do cold calling, call customers, see if they wanted to do business with us. And in the background, in the same office, the VAS team got established for the first time.
Correct.
However, they all use power tools and, certain kind of clicks and clacks. And so basically all my calls during the first 3 years, on the background, there was hammers, and then of course a lot of talk and a lot of noises, jokes. So that was but basically I was at I would say the bird of the VAS team, so I kind of saw it all till today. And I think how we got to where we are today, it's a huge difference. We have so many services that we offer. I think it started off by components in the printers, changing that kind of stuff into ampoules. And ampoules, there's a lot more that we do. So, for example, we do a lot of application loading, staging, remote key injection, something we added lately to the portfolio as we dove into payments about 2 years ago. One of the certain and the most critical things is that you can actually key inject in your facility. So we made a lot of room for there. We have now the facility to do that, and I think the message for all the customers is the value-added service team is one of the greatest assets within BlueStar, as we can really configure something into a plug-and-play solution, into a one-stop shop.
And it's not only about software, it's also about hardware.
Exactly.
They can simply open the box, take a solution, click here, there, take this out, put this in.
Yes.
Even something simpler, like open the box and put a single, leaflet or something like that, which is not very often so easy. It might look easy, you just open 100 boxes and then you put something inside. Go and do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's very time consuming.
So imagine when we are talking about, let's say, putting together a complete bundle, putting together a solution with this or that specific part.
Yep.
Have you got some examples that we can talk about it?
I think Richard mentioned one. It's not always needed to have an integrated partner driving to the end user to make an installation, right? Because with our FOS team, they're actually able to. I always call it plug and play, and I think that's one of the most important, words of this podcast is. As soon as, our FOS team touches the hardware, it goes to the end user, they pick it up, they put it on the counter, and it's ready to go. Right? Yeah. It's plug and play. And that's something I think that we do very uniquely, within BlueStar.
It's helped by the fact, Android has really opened up for us, hasn't it? It helps things,
considerably.
So we've obviously been working with Android for more than 10 years in terms of the mobile computers that we sell, but the fact that Android's becoming more prevalent in the POS and even the payment industry now with Android-based payment terminals, the remote key injection facility that you mentioned there, it really makes it very straightforward for us to be able to do that. BlueStar's an Android competence center, easy for you to say. So we've got expertise there anyway, and it's not massively different configuring a mobile computer from a manufacturer like Zebra or Honeywell or DataLogic compared to configuring a payment terminal. In fact, some of those manufacturers have payment terminals as well. So it's the principles apply. It's all.
Funny example actually. You had a couple of weeks ago, we had a pretty large outroll for 1,000 mobile computers, and the customer asked me for a quote. What do you quote for these? For the service? It was not much, at least. And the customer came back and said, it's not for one, it's for 1,000. I think you misunderstood what I asked. No, we didn't misunderstand. We have actually tools available because we have Android, zero touch. We all line them together. It's one click, it's one go, and they're all uploaded automatically. And that's something, of course, that even the customer wasn't aware of. So that's how you can see how far our FOS center basically is, in this modern technology.
I think, though, just as you've mentioned, kind of the services, to bring it back to what we were talking about at the start, about being customer-centric, a lot of those services have been driven by customer demand, hasn't it? So we didn't decide, okay, right, these are the value adds we're going to have as part of our configuration center. They're all things that have been requested and are still happening, I guess, so it's going to be constantly evolving.
Yeah, and of course there is a lot of knowledge there. Because of course, part of the current company, is coming from different business. You've been in also in distributors for many years. And the amount of knowledge and the amount of times that we've been listening to customers from different sites is enormous. And this gives us also the confidence to say, hey, we are really at least trying to solve one of the main requests that the market is bringing. But I want to drive your attention also to something different. I guess one of the elements that is probably more critical is when a customer wants to deploy units and solutions, in many different places, because you've been telling us about the capacity of BlueStar, to kit, to bundle, to open boxes, to put things together, etc. And I think there must be also a reason behind, of course, because you need that solution, but also because probably some of the customers you're having as a reseller are having different needs which are spread. How do we cover that? I know we have a solution.
Yes, so we have a program called Global Care. Basically what it is, of course, it's if you have a VIT number, for example, in the US, it's very easy, right? Because you buy from our, company in the US and you ship the automatic way, same as in EMEA. It becomes very complicated when you don't have a VIT in the US, but you still, as a European company, wants to ship product into the US. So that's where we basically come in. Of course, BlueStar is a global organization, so we have our offices in Latin America, Canada, and the US, Mexico, and in Europe. And because of that, most of our manufacturers are global as well, which of course make it very convenient to ship across over the sea, basically. So what we do is that we have a couple of services, and there's a team within EMEA that leads this, whole movement, where we specifically tailor the needs of this customer. If he wants to ship a box, for example, on an EMEA VIT number into the US, we have a service for that, or we either use our US company to drop ship directly into the customer. The bill is being paid in Europe, which is an incredible service. Or of course we ship from Europe into the US, which is a little bit more complicated because of the voltage and the different power supplies. So normally we leverage our Kentucky warehouse in the US and we ship directly there, but the invoice comes into Europe, which is a great service. So that's one of the of the examples. I think you also have a little bit experience with Global Care.
Yeah, because for me it's even more than that. A lot of times, most of the not only the customers but also the employees of the company think that Global Care is about logistics and about software implementation, etc., and deployment of units in the end user in these many countries. But I think there is a higher vision of that. I mean, we are and we can be, in fact, more than ever, a kind of connection point. We can solve the need of the customers when they don't know, or even if they know, they don't know how to make it true. When they need to find knowledge about a certain market, when they need to find an ISV, probably you can give us some examples, right? And then when they are really looking for how to expand the market here or there, we can be that connection point because we have an extensive network of customers, resellers, ISV, vendors who can really be put together to the service of the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, we can, quite a few times I've got, even if it's something as simple as a European-based reseller that also has an office or whatever in the US and he's happy enough to work. Sometimes it's as simple as, I just need to get a touch screen to Texas. How do I do that? I don't want to mess around with.
If it's only one, I can bring it myself. Huh?
Yeah. And people have done that. We got a customer actually just recently that had done that and said, it was a bit tedious because the guy had to put it in his hand luggage on the plane and take it over with him. But that's one way of doing it. You don't have to get on a plane. You can we can handle that for you. And it's sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know, and having some. There's a few companies that I can think of where we've been able to just say, hey, can you do us a favour, or you're not going to make much money on this, but it's it's we just need you to.
Yeah,
I think as well as we're talking about the benefit and we're solving the customer's problem by offering the global care, but as well, I think it's not something that our vendors can necessarily deal with themselves directly, and that's why distribution plays such an important role here, because some of these big vendors, they don't have the capability to actually ship across globally or outside of theatre, as they would call it. So I think it makes it even more of a critical role for distribution as to be involved as a layer to help both the customer and our vendors in the vendors, transacting.
You're absolutely right, Emma, because vendors is something that people doesn't think about that, and it's probably one of the best sources in this moment of let's say the project that we can have with Global Care, because they cannot sometimes achieve, and they don't know who can achieve those deployments.
Yep.
And then we are there. There
for sure. I think one of the examples, I think in our kind of vertical in the POS and payment, it's mainly about ISVs that make use of the service. ISV is an independent software vendor that basically cares about, the software, has a reseller network, and those resellers are buying hardware basically. So what we do for these customers is, if they are a European, for example, we, work with the resellers across the globe. So we have resellers in Japan, we have resellers in Malaysia, in Jamaica. We basically ship from the nearest location from BlueStar. So if it's Kentucky to Jamaica, that's the obvious route. If it's Japan, we take that shipment from the European perspective, and that's kind of how we fulfill this complete solution for the independent software vendor. The only thing that he needs to do is worry about selling the software. Yeah, we do the rest,
and it helps them completely extend their reach. They can go from a relatively small, software vendor, but the fact that we can help them ship globally makes everything. Really.
And also another example, very good example, I think, is an end user level. So we have a project. It's an end user called Dyson. I think everybody knows Dyson. Dyson is across the globe, right? They're everywhere. And our customer, is of course delivering out of Spain directly into Dyson, right? But across the globe, they don't have any entities in other countries than Europe, than Spain in this case. So we fulfill this specifically for the whole global Dyson through our customer in Spain, and this is of course a service that they could not get anywhere else. So I think it's very, very promising what we deliver there.
It's very nice. I think we are linking now together, many of the concepts that we have been talking about, because all this brings together the, let's say, the service, the cross-selling from the strategical point of view, right? How can we advise the expertise that our BDMs are having? So when we talk about a little bit about that, there is an element there that you have been, mentioning before, which is the pre-sales. What is the role that the pre-sales are playing to make sure that BlueStar is perceived as a trust advisor?
Yeah.
So how do you see that role? Because I think that's one of the key elements also in this process.
And I think I hinted already a little bit on that in my when we talked about the VOS department. Our pre-sales and technical sales are very technical, of course, and what we use for them is in shared conversations with customers. for example, they're, have a solution from manufacturer A, but they're not satisfied with manufacturer A. They want to jump to a different manufacturer. They come to us as Blue, as advisement, and we basically guide them through the whole portfolio. What do we have to offer? And is that something, of course, that, loads their application or fits their application? And then we go from that direction. So it's really a shared of different positions within BlueStar to guide the right solution for the customer.
Fantastic. And I think there is also one element there that probably you, Richard, can tell us about. We are also trying to put them together physically. Sometimes when we are talking about being the connection point, being the one-stop shop, we want to show this. We want the people talk to people. We want to make the resellers talk to other resellers, the ISVs talk to the resellers to the ISVs, and of course the vendors in the middle. So we are also making many specialized and focused events which are really directed to let's say, to promote that kind of connection.
Yeah, I think events is at the same time probably one of the most fun things that we do, and also one of the most difficult things that we do, because to get it right, it's often a hell of a lot of hard work to put it together. But I think it's an important thing. I definitely think it was something that during 2020 and 2021 we really missed being able to do that kind of thing. You can replicate it to some extent online, but it's not the same as being face to face. And we're looking in each of the main territories several times a year to bring people together. It can be anything from as simple as we want to give the vendor partners that we have a forum to be able to show off their latest products, talk to people about that. Ideally, we do that in a face-to-face environment. So rather than having somebody on a stage doing death by PowerPoint for an hour and a half, and you just watching people yawn through it, we try to make it a little bit more snappy and punchy and give them 10, 12-minute, we call it speed dating. It's not real speed dating.
Yeah, you call it speed dating because you're in sales. But basically, in marketing, we don't call it speed dating.
No, that's not the primary intention. Anything that happens beyond the
we call them VAR Quick Connect, which is at the end is a way to.
This is why you're in marketing and
exactly,
I'm not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just to name the same things in a different way, right?
Yeah. So VAR Quick Connects. Yeah, we're quickly connecting the VARs with. And I think that's really important for the resellers to keep on top of the technology, the new stuff that's coming through. Also for the vendors to feel like they've got that face-to-face contact with resellers who they might otherwise not meet. And I think those are really good events. We're doing those throughout Europe. Also, an event that we've done recently, which we called Tech Connect. So I do know some of the marketing names for these things.
But it was also a big speed dating, basically. Well,
it was a big speed dating, yeah. But don't tell Paco that.
With speed dating, I don't know. How long did I clue on that?
So Tech Connect was very much the primary focus of Tech Connect was to do with independent software vendors and giving them a forum to be able to put across their solutions, so that the resellers that we invited to that could look at a range of different solutions. It was the one that we did, the first one that we did earlier this year was in the retail and hospitality market. So all of the solutions there were from software vendors who were there to make partnerships with resellers. So that in most cases trade-only software partners that were driving sales of the hardware that BlueStar offers from various different vendors, but definitely also in the retail and hospitality market, and just really showing some of the BlueStar customers that attended on that day what innovative new solutions are coming through and how they can partner with companies that can help them to deliver that to their customers along with BlueStar. So we're constantly trying to come up with new formats for events. And I mean, you were there, you already
yeah. And I think, let's be honest, the most important thing I think we can give our customer is extra revenue. And that's how you do it in these events, right? They listen to the ISV, they say, okay, we can actually upsell this within the market, extra stream of revenue hosted by BlueStar. That's something that we want to create. We want to create this ecosystem where people learn, find new ideas, and also, cross-sell.
That is the ultimate goal. Huh? It's like, as we said before, our ultimate goal is helping the resellers, helping the VARs, helping the ISVs to grow their business. This is what is our aim. And of course, our business will grow if we help them to grow by nature. But this is our aim. Everything we do is really focused on that purpose. I also want to mention something. I mean, it's important. I believe, of course, I'm in marketing, as you notice, and of course, I think it's important also that we communicate all this in the proper way. So from the marketing perspective, we also have a line of communications. You have also started, and you have requests from us to make the specific newsletters that we can have in a consistent way with important information, with of course series of podcasts that you guys are doing fantastically. In terms of.
I think you'll find that the correct marketing term is podcasts, Paco.
The podcast, yes, okay, yeah.
Keep saying it wrong, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why.
So quick to correct us when we use the wrong
just rolls
marketing
off your
terms.
tongue, does
No, but I think it's important that we are communicating this in the right way, and that we have created the tools also to approach in a consistent way our customers, to give them the insights. Again, not only in the podcast but also in the newsletters, in some vertical pages. We call them Vertical 360. We have dedicated pages to offer insights and to bring news from the retail business and post and payments. And I think some of the emergent, I don't want to call them emergent technologies, but for example, payments, which is not an emergent technology per se, but however has got some emerging opportunities, which you are unclosing also during your communication, right?
Yeah, it's whether it's emerging or evolving, it's definitely there's a lot of change happening in the payment market at the moment, and I think a big role that we can play in that is how do we educate our ecosystem, the community that we're building. How can we give them access to the latest information as we see it, but also give our take on how you might go about implementing that as well. So it's when there's a lot of change happening, I think being involved in that and communicating about that is an important way, and it's really important to keep people updated with what's happening there, I would say. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So I think let's recap a little bit of what we will have mentioned today. We have specialized teams. We have the BDMs that can really give the proper advice. We have also the pre-sales who can support from the technical point of view on the projects, on the approach. We can really help this kind of cross-selling. We can be the connection point, to become this one-stop shop for your business. We have the logistics. We have the capacity also to bundle, to kit, to make, to build the proper solution for our customers. And we can also bring this to a larger global scale when it's needed. And we can really take that advantage of the services and the connection that we can provide. So all that comes to the concept that, I will repeat again, means that we can be, and we are in fact, a one-stop shop for your retail business.
And maybe to end off, don't hesitate, ask Blue.
Ask Blue.
Always.
Absolutely. I think that's also marketing, you see?
That's good. Who's Blue, by the way?
Exactly. I don't know. Nobody.
To me, I've got a blue t-shirt.
But nobody
I'm
knows
Blue.
him.
I'm Blue.
All right. Anybody wants to say anything before we finish?
Don't think from my side, no. I think we've summed it all up really, really well.
Okay. So thank you very much indeed, Jord Malcorps, Richard Austin, and Emma Edwards. And of course, I think your names and faces are well known in the industry. If any of our, if any of the people who's listening this podcast wants to get in contact with you, you are absolutely reachable, and your names and phones are public. So,
everywhere.
Thank you for joining today. I think it was very nice. And
No, thanks for inviting me.
Good luck.
Thanks for having us, Paco.